Chelation therapy is a means of purging toxic metals and minerals out of the body. It's effective in treating and preventing atherosclerosis, heart attacks, strokes, circulatory problems, and even neurological disorders. Let's take a visit to my clinic, Austin Integrative Medicine, and visit with Dr. Ron Manzanero, who's an expert in chelation therapy. We're here at Austin Integrative Medicine, and we are talking to Dr. Ron Manzanero about chelation. Good morning, doctor. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
So, tell us, what is chelation?
Chelation is a form of treatment to remove poisons out of your body. And what I mean is basically toxic metals. Things like lead, mercury, arsenic, aluminum, things which really have no business being in our body. These toxic metals are known to be enzyme disruptors, and every cell in the body has enzyme pathways that produce some type of end result. That's how the cells live. Okay, they have enzymes that create proteins and so on, and hormones, and these toxic metals can get in there and begin to disrupt this process, or even the energy producing aspects of the cells can get disrupted by these toxic metals. So essentially what chelation is a type of treatment. It may include intravenous forms, and it may include oral forms, like in the form of a capsule or a tablet or a dropper, a liquid dropper that can be administered very safely. And these chelator compounds will then go through the body. They search out for these toxic metals because they have basically an electromagnetic charge that will match and attract lead or arsenic or mercury. They bind to it, and then your body will excrete that complex of the chelator and the toxic metal through the kidneys and into the urine, and that's how you detoxify. So essentially chelation is a detoxification process to get rid of heavy metals.
We have heard about heavy metal, mercury toxicity and lead, but how do we really know? And does a person out there, do they need to get chelation on a regular basis, or do they need, how does that work, and who needs chelation?
That's actually a great question. I'd like to point out first of all that in a recent study from the International Journal of Toxicology, they demonstrated that mercury actually has a causative effect in creating atherosclerotic plaque. We also know from the AMA journal from 2003, there was an article demonstrating that lead in the body causes hypertension. And in Circulation Journal last year from 2006, a landmark study showing that lead actually is a significant cause of cardiovascular mortality. Not just morbidity, meaning illness, but actual death. And that article is actually advocating that we have lower levels of the lead ranges for blood tests. The problem is that no one's actually actively checking these things in conventional medicine. And how do we get exposed to these things? Well, we're breathing these things every day. It's in our food and air. But primarily a lot of the exposure is coming from environmental air pollution. There are many coal tar burning plants that are being created in Red China, even here in East Texas. And this blows into the atmosphere, and we accumulate it through inhaling it.
So we inhale it. Do we also get it from our water and our food?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, and then many of us grew up in a generation where they still had leaded paints. Mm-hmm. So that lead may still be in your body, because one of the body's way of getting rid of that is really not to dump it out of the body, but to store it. And lead is actually stored in the bones of our body. So that actually gets us back to the AMA journal from 2003. It was a study on women going into perimenopause and then early menopause. And we all know what happens in menopause. Your bones begin to thin. So as the bones begin to thin out, they start reintroducing lead back into the bloodstream. And lead actually causes the arteries to constrict. It inhibits an enzyme that allows arteries to relax. And that's essentially what a lot of toxic metals do, is they are enzyme inhibitors. Or disruptors, actually.
So what age really is a good time to be thinking of detoxification, and how do we determine whether this person really, you know, should we wait until the horse is out of the barn, so to speak, until somebody actually has atherosclerosis or cardiovascular disease or other problems, or is there some sort of preventative protocol that we can start, you know, right away, or
well,
when we're young?
Yeah, I think any biological entity, whether you're a plant or an animal or a human, is getting exposed and really needs to have some protection from this. So to get really back to your question, though, I think it does need to be done preventatively. At what age? You know, teenage years even. We start accumulating these toxins. Now, it may not be a problem then, But you can start doing oral chelation. That's taken some daily form, and maybe in a capsule form or liquid form of EDTA or another compound called DMSA. Actually, I advocate people getting an IV treatment, intravenous treatment of EDTA periodically.
What would you recommend as far as if I were coming in and I don't have any overt symptoms, shall we say, of disease, but obviously I've had dental amalgams removed, I eat a lot of fish, I've been exposed to various things. Would you recommend that I get tested, for example, or should I just start on an oral? Or how would I know that I actually need to do intravenous chelation?
Well, the testing is not perfect. Most doctors today believe that a simple serum or blood level test that will look at lead or mercury is adequate, and it's really not, because these serum lead levels or mercury levels only are reflective of what you've been exposed to in the past maybe 72 hours. Okay? But if you want to get a sense of the deeper tissue burden in the body, what I typically do, and what many chelation doctors do, is to administer a provocative challenge, that's what we call it. So we'll actually give you an IV, administer some EDTA, which is one of the forms of the chelators, along with another FDA-approved chelator called DMSA, which is an oral pill. It has a little bit more affinity towards mercury. And then you'll collect your urine for 6 hours. As these chelators go through the body and grab the lead, the mercury, the arsenic, the aluminum, and so on, you're going to be excreting it into the urine. After that 6-hour urine time frame is finished, you can then submit that sample to a lab, and they'll give us a reading of how much lead or how many of these toxic metals were taken out of the body. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're in a severe disease state because you have these in your body, but it says, look, you have these toxic metals, they're there. We know they're enzyme disruptors and hormone disruptors. Why not start getting some of this stuff out? Now, how long do we do this? My feeling is we should do it for the rest of our life.
And you and I know and come from the school of detoxification is the first line that we, remove, replenish, restore, is, really the principles of health, which the reason why I'm so excited in aligning with you here in this clinic is that we're taking a health management approach versus a disease management approach, so that we really want to go preventative and focus on health.
Yeah, it's disease treatment. And
Yeah.
how can we optimize a person's health is something that's so much more in line to my philosophy and what I went into medicine for. And it's not about take a pill or a drug for this or that. How about doing some lifestyle changes? How about detoxifying the body so that the body can better repair and heal itself?
Thanks, Dr. Manzanero, for enlightening us on chelation therapy. Join us next time as we explore the exciting world of complementary and alternative medicine to your health.